Hey everyone, welcome to the investor.bet NRL Finals Week 1 try scorer predictions video. Last week we hit 9 of our 13 predictions to make it 5 consecutive profitable weeks if you follow the staking strategy of backing each try scorer to win 1.5 units. And then this week, for week 1 of the finals, there's only the 4 games, of course. We have 7 selections, 2 in each of the first 3 games, and then 1 in the final game between the Canterbury Bulldogs and Manly Sea Eagles. And in this video, I'm going to run through what each of those selections are and the reasons why I think that player is going to score a try in that game. We do that primarily through 2 main tools from the NRL bet finders. Firstly, it's the situational analysis. So in the middle column here, you have all the positions for an NRL side. And then in this column for the Panthers, this is where they how many tries they average per game through that position and where that ranks in terms of the league. Obviously, number 1 in the rankings would indicate they're the best side, or they score the most tries through that position. And number 17 would indicate they score the least tries in the league through that position. What we then do is compare that to the opponent tries against. So this column indicates the Roosters, who's the opponent, where they concede their tries. Same again with the rankings. Number 1 this time indicates they're the best defensive side against that position and concede the least tries through there. And the higher it goes, up to 17, indicates they're worse and worse at conceding tries and concede more and more through that position. So straight away, just looking at this, you'll notice the Roosters concede the least number of tries to opponent right wingers and right centers, making them the number 1 right edge defense. However, towards the left winger, they concede the 14th most tries through that position. So that's a weakness of them. They also concede a high number of tries to the interchange players. So that gives us a bit of an indication of, which spots do we want to be looking for? Because if you want to make smart bets, you don't want to be taking too many players where they have really tough matchups. I'm going to run through, how to do it in this video. And then the other tool we use is the player try score trend. So overall this season, for every player, did they score a try? How many tries they score in each game throughout the season, their average tries, how many percentage of games do they score at least 1 try, 2 try, and 3 tries, and that's for all the different teams. Then the only other factor we compare it to is how they've previously performed against that opponent, because that is another major factor. If they have a really good record against that opponent, then coaching and playmaking will likely center around capitalizing on that same edge they've had in previous games. So that is the game plan. Right here is the quick recap of the selections from last week. So in the Storm Broncos game, we had Warbrick and Katoa, both scoring $1.70 and $2.30. Friday night, we hit Make Sivo at $1.57. Dom Young was rested in the Roosters game, so that play was voided. Then in the Canberra Dragons game, we hit both Hudson Young at $2.70 and Xavier Savage at $1.95. Missed both plays in Crichton and Nanai in the Cowboys Bulldogs game, both at slightly bigger odds. Taruva wasn't able to score against the Gold Coast Titans, but Camperera was able to score that length of the field try where he picked up the loose ball. Hopolade was denied a try. He almost got it down in the Seagulls Sharks game, but we also hit Sione Katoa and then Britton Nakora, who scored a double in that game. And then Tabuai Fido went over late for the Dolphins against Newcastle in the final game of the round. So 9 of the 13 selections ended up winning. This weekend, games start on Friday night. Panthers are favorites around $1.40 mark to beat the Roosters. I have 2 plays in this game, 1 on either side. Firstly, for the Panthers, we kind of touched on this when I explained what you're looking at here and how it works, but the Roosters' left wing defense is pretty poor, ranked 14th in the league. That's where I'm expecting the Panthers to target their attack and look to capitalize on that, especially with Nathan Cleary back into the side. Playing left wing for the Panthers is Taruva, who scored a hat-trick earlier this season in round 4 against the Roosters. That was that game right there. And then over recent times, he scored 4 tries across his past 3 games. You see a double in round 23, didn't play 24, 25, and then a double in round 26. As mentioned earlier, couldn't cross last week against the Titans in what was a lower scoring game. He scored a try in 45% of games this season. And considering the Roosters are the best right edge defense, you could take Toho on that side. However, I feel like the better bet is with Taruva. especially considering he is at the longer odds of the two of them. And on Bet365, he's paying even money to score a try. So at the $2 mark, you can see Toho at $1.87. So definitely with these situations, much prefer to be with Taruva. Then the other play in this game is over on the Roosters side. They're basically very, very similar. You'll notice the Panthers' right edge defense is really, really good, ranked second overall in the league. However, on the left edge, and particularly through the left wing, they rank 14th in the league. So this is where, the Roosters are going to need a target to give themselves a chance of winning this game. Daniel Tupou comes back into the side this week to play after being arrested last week to fill that left wing for the Roosters. Overall this season, he scored 19 tries, scored a try in 67% of games. He scored a try in each of his last 4 and a total of 6 tries during that time. And then against the Panthers, he scored in that matchup this season back in round 4, where the Roosters only scored 16 points in that game. So been very, very consistent throughout the year, and I think he's going to get his opportunities. Still on Bet365, you can get $2.55 for Daniel Tupou to score a try in this game. So the selections, Sunir Taruva, $2, and Daniel Tupou at $2.55. Now, having 2 plays in each game is a little bit risky, just because, these games are expected to be lower scoring. The totals are around 6 to 10 points lower than what we've seen on average throughout the regular season. However, with the way both of these games set up, both sides' attack is going to have to, constantly be going towards that left edge. And so unless, we see a super low scoring game, then I think both Taruva and Tupou should get plenty of chances. The early game on Saturday, the Melbourne Storm at home to the Sharks. Storm are big favourites for this game, but I have 2 plays once again. Firstly, with the Melbourne Storm, their right edge this season hasn't been that strong. They're ranked 13th in the league in tries for overall, but their left edge has been a lot better. Last week, Xavier Coates returned to play left wing, and I think the Storm's attack is going to revolve around him a lot more and be pushing towards that left edge. Now he's back in the side. You can see since been out of the team since round 18, returned last week and scored a try against the Broncos. Overall this season, he scored a try in 62% of games that he has played. So a pretty good record, and has the most percentage out of every player playing in this game. And this one was kind of really price sensitive. Like the Sharks defense is pretty good. So it's like about what price can you actually get. He scored 2 tries against the Sharks in the game against them, which was last season. He didn't play in the game earlier this year. And I think he's going to get his opportunities to score. Over on Neds or on Ladbrokes, they're both the same. You get $1.78 for Coates to score a try in this game. And it is largely due to the fact that he's very consistent at crossing for a try. And I expect, due to the strength of their left edge, the Storm will be pushing their attack that way. And the Sharks' defense on the left edge is slightly worse than it is on the opposite side of the field. So all signs point to the Storm pushing that way. And then for the Sharks, there is one play I want to take, and this kind of highlights the example of a poor situation with Will Kennedy's really struggled to score for the Sharks this year. Sharks scored the 16th least tries through the fullback, and the Storm defend this position and don't give up tries to opponent fullbacks all that often. So that's an example of it's not really an ideal situation to take. But there is one that I do want to take, and that is on the left wing for the Sharks. You notice the Sharks, both left and right wing, score the majority of their tries. They don't get as many through the centers. The Storm right wing defense is pretty good, ranked 6th in the league, but their left wing and defense ranked 12th overall in the league. Playing left wing for the Sharks is Ronaldo Mulitalo. Overall this season, he scored 17 tries, scores a try in 55% of games, and has scored at least 1 try in each of his last 4, which, have been spaced out a little bit. He had 3 in round 19, then the bye, then 1 in round 21, came back in round 24, scored a try, and got a double last week against the Seagulls. Against the Melbourne Storm, playing against them recently, he scored a try in 3 of his past 4 games against them, and a total of 4 tries during that time. So also has a pretty good record against them. For Mulitalo to score a try, if we go on to Bet365, They have the best odds for him to score a try, and it's $2.45. So those are the two selections. Mulatalo, $2.45 on Bet365, and then Xavier Coates, $1.78 on Neds or Ladbrokes. So those are going to be the two plays for that game. Then into the elimination finals, the later game on Saturday, the Cowboys take on the Knights. Also have two in this game and then just one in the last game. Both of the ones for the Cowboys Knights is with the Cowboys. Firstly, I'm going to play the right wing for the Cowboys. Carl Felt, it's not a great situation. The Knights defend this side pretty well, but he's just been in like really, really good try scoring form over the past few weeks. And this is like coming towards the end of his time with the Cowboys. You'll notice here with his trends, he scored a try in his past 6 games and a total of, let's see, 11 tries during that time. So 11 tries across 6 games, scored a try in 65% of games this season. If you also go back to round 15, he scored a try in 9 of his past 10 matches. So very, very, very consistent. And against the Knights, right edge defense, it's not an ideal situation, but it's just like really, really been working for the Cowboys this year. And I'm happy to back him to cross for a try. Also on Bet365 for Carl Felt to score a try, he's paying $1.72. So I'm happy to take that price for Felt as the first play in this matchup. And then the other one with the Cowboys, we're going to the opposite side of the field at left center. See, the Cowboys score the most tries in the league through this position, and the Knights' left edge defense is significantly worse, ranked 12th against the left centers and 11th on the left edge overall. Newcastle last week played the Dolphins. Tabuai-Fidow scored a try through this position, and then the controversial try that was disallowed to Trey Fuller with the obstruction was pretty much through this exact same position on the field. Tabuai-Fidow was just outside the fullback in Fuller as he was running through. So I think the Cowboys are going to target this area. So at the slightly longer odds of the two of them, we're going to play a Valentine Holmes paying $2.55 to score a try. So we kind of have both edges of the field covered here for the Cowboys. Think they're going to win this game. And, you know, we've seen over this season a lot of their tries that come through Carl Felt and Valentine Holmes. We'll just quickly look at Holmes overall on the season. He's scored a try in 4 of his past 5 games. He's trying 50% of matches overall this season. And then against Newcastle, he scored a try in 2 of his past 5. Carl Felt, just quickly because I forgot to mention it, has scored 3 tries across his past 3 games. So a try in each against Newcastle. So also has a good record against them. Expect at least one of these two will cross. If not both of them, that would be ideal. And then final game, we have the Bulldogs against the Manly Seagulls. Bulldogs really struggled in attack last week. They do get Matt Burton back into the side, but I couldn't really find any situations or positions and players I wanted to take here for the Bulldogs. Think, you know, pretty much as you can see, where everywhere the Bulldogs are strong, the Seagulls are strong defensively against that position, and where the Bulldogs haven't been scoring their tries is where the Seagulls can see them. That means there's no real ideal situations to take advantage of, which means I'm not going to, have any plays on the Bulldogs, but I am going to have a play with the Seagulls, and kind of goes against what I've been talking about in these videos of looking for the good situations, because we have the Seagulls at fullback. They score the most tries through that position, but the Bulldogs concede the least number of tries through this position. Now, firstly, I went back through my data, and even though the Bulldogs concede the least number of tries to the opponent's fullback, overall, during the 2024 season, they've only conceded 5 tries to opponent fullbacks. However, 4 of those 5 tries have come in the past 7 weeks. So the first, 2/3 of the season, fullbacks couldn't score against them, but that's kind of changed around a little bit over the past couple of months. And Tom Trbojevic missed last week. Seagulls were hammered by the Sharks. Think he'll be keen for a big game returning to the team this week. Across his recent form, so the past 4 games, he has scored a try in each of those 4, a total of 7 tries, 17 on the season, and trying 67% of games. Has also scored in 6 of his past 7, and you can also go back to round 17 of the games that he has played, he has only missed scoring a try in round 18 and round 21. This shows us that he's very, very consistent. Against the Bulldogs, he's scored a try in each of his past 5 games, one in each of the past 3, and then scored a hat-trick in the other 2 games. So a total of 9 tries across the past 5 games against the Bulldogs. So he has a very good record against them, in a really, really good try-scoring form. Plenty on the line here with elimination. Think he's going to be very involved in, a lot of the Seagulls games I've watched this season, like their attack really, and as it's kind of done like over the past few years, their attack really centers around Trbojevic. It was, only a few years ago where if he played, the Seagulls won. If he was out, they lost. And it was like just, literally that week after week. It's not at that level anymore. However, like when you watch their games, anytime somebody makes a line break for the Seagulls, Trbojevic is there for the offload. Now, that is also the role of the fullback in attack. However, for a lot of other sides, when, a second rower or even a front rower makes a line break, or a center, sneaks through the halfback dummies and goes, the fullback, always that 5 to 10 meters further away than they would be or need to be to get that offload, and they're getting there late to the party. But when you watch the Seagulls games, when somebody makes a line break, Trbojevic is right there ready for the offload to draw the fullback and then run away and score. And just because of that, if the Seagulls get a few line breaks, then he should be able to land a try. Bulldogs' recent form against fullbacks isn't great, and Trbojevic can take advantage. Over on TAB, if we bring up the odds for him, he's paying $2.30 to score a try. And that's a lot better than what a few of the other bookies are offering. A lot of them are only offering around, as you can see, $2.30 just there, around the $1.90 to $2 mark. So to get $2.30, I feel like is a good price. I think 365 had it at $2.20 as another option, but definitely always aim to take the best possible price. And also with the staking for these, if you've been following along, and you've been following the past 5 weeks, every week's been profitable. It is like tempting to just, dramatically increase how much you're betting. Instead of putting 50 on, start putting 100 on. Instead of putting 200 on, start putting 300 on. Don't do that. Just keep with the consistent staking that you have been doing. Got lots of other videos talking about this topic that I have recorded over the years, like on Instagram and stuff. But just stay consistent with the staking. Chopping and changing how much you're putting on things is what causes a lot of people to lose money betting. They might be having really good selections, their plays are on point, but because there's so much, differences in their staking from day to day and week to week, then their overall results don't look as good. The way I approach it is all about making consistent profits week after week, month after month, year after year, and not just trying to get big highs and stuff like that. So with these plays, still keep on backing them to win 1.5 units, even though, we only have 7 selections compared to 13 last week, and it's slightly less. Still keep that same strategy. Don't try and win more just because, don't try and win the same amount just because there's less selections, if that makes sense. So that's a really, really important part of this, of being profitable long term. So I'll quickly recap the selections. In the Panthers Roosters game, playing both left wingers, I'm going Sunir Taruva, $2 at Bet365. And then for the Roosters, Daniel Tupou on the left wing, paying $2.55 at Bet365. For the Melbourne Storm, we're playing Xavier Coates on the left wing. And for the Sharks, we're playing the left winger as well in Ronaldo Mulitalo. Mulitalo, $2.45 on Bet365. Coates, $1.78 on Neds or Ladbrokes. In the Cowboys Knights, we've got 2 plays on the Cowboys. Firstly, Carl Felt, the right wing for the Cowboys, paying $1.72 on Bet365. And then the left center for the Cowboys, Valentine Holmes, paying $2.55 on Bet365. And then the last game, no plays for the Bulldogs, but 1 play for the Seagulls, and that's Tom Trbojevic at fullback, $2.30 on TAB. Hopefully, breakdowns of why I'm taking these selections really helps you see what it takes to be profitable from betting, and by using these tools, it makes your research process so much easier. So this is the NRL Bet Finders, which the link for these are in the description for you guys to use for yourself if you want to do that. Also, at the beginning of next season, I've just started talking about it recently on the videos. I'm going to be releasing a 2025 NRL betting guide. about a month before the season goes out. I've set up a wait list. So if you want that, it'll be completely free. Put in your email address through that link. And then once it's ready in early February next year, I'll send that out to you to help give you the information you guys need to be profitable on the NRL next season. The other thing going on right now, NFL season kicked off last week. And, if you've been following these try scorer videos and you like the strategies of how we choose the try scorer bets, can do the exact same thing with the NFL with touchdown scorers. So I wanted to give you a quick, overlook of what it actually looks like. And I know this isn't about the NRL, but if you bet on the NRL, then a lot of the same principles apply to the NFL. So there's two main tools that are used for prop betting on the NFL. This is the first one. This is part of the NFL bet finders. I'll put the link for these in the description as well if you guys want to use them. But firstly, you got the two teams here, and we're looking at there's four main positions in the NFL for offenses. Aside from the offensive line, you have the quarterback, the running back, the wide receivers, and the tight ends. Here we're looking at where teams struggle defensively. If we've got red numbers here, like for example for the Chargers, they give up a lot of passing yards to opponent quarterbacks, a lot of pass attempts and passing yards per attempt, and ranked 22nd in the league of 32 in opponent passing touchdowns. So the Carolina quarterback, who Bryce Young, not really like a superstar or anything, depending who is playing, likely may be able to take advantage of that. And then for Carolina, they don't give up many passing yards. So the Chargers quarterback is going to struggle in that situation. You can go through for each position, see where teams are strong and weak, and especially we're looking for where teams are weak. So I'm going through this. You got all the different games here as we go through, but I'm looking for situations where teams struggle versus the opponent's player in that position. So the Broncos struggle against opponent running backs, concede the most number of yards in the league. Once I find a situation I like, and obviously there's 16 games every week, so you don't have to be scouring. It's so easy to go through and be like, bam, that's the one that I want. Then I come over to the player trends. So this is the player trends, where over the last season, then going into this season, it'll update every single week as the games are played and as I go through and update it. We have the Buffalo-Miami game. We look at the passing yards, the quarterbacks for both sides, and how many passing yards they've had in every week last season. And then right now we've had 1 week of the 2024-25 season. You can see what they scored or how many yards they had there, what their average and median yard has been during that time, their recent averages, their high and low, and what percentage of time have they hit milestones of 150, 200, 250, etc., etc. Then you got passing touchdowns, rushing yards. So all the different props you can bet on, receiving yards, touchdown scorer. So as I mentioned with the Pittsburgh Broncos game, which is just one that caught my eye as I was going through and doing this, and I'm just showing you this so you guys can see how easy it is. For the Steelers, what we want to do is look at who's playing the running back for them. So we come down to rushing yards. The running back, Najee Harris for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Overall, in week 1, he had 70 yards. He averages 61.4 during this time and has a high of 122. His recent average in the couple of games at the end of last season and the first game of this season is 101.3. And we can see here, he achieves 25 plus rushing yards in 94% of games, 67%. He gets 40 plus and 50 plus, 61%. But we also know he's got a really good matchup. So then we can go over to the betting side, see what odds he's paying for these, and know with confidence that not only we've got to play in form, he's hit 70 plus in his last 4 games. So it's even 39% there, but then we can see what odds they're paying for that selection. So that's just one of them, all the different positions, receiving yards. And then if we come back up to the top, the other thing, well, the main thing I wanted to talk about here was the touchdown scorers, because that's what directly applies as well to, similar to the try scorers in the NRL. We've got the touchdown scorers section, and every player for the offense for the upcoming game, there are certain players who can score a touchdown that aren't, one of the main 5 or 6 players on an offense for a side. However, I do just tend to focus on those main players and not take the chance, because any other play, these are the players that play the most offensive snaps for, that team. Don't really want to be putting bets on players who may only come on for 2, 3, 4, 5 snaps for a game. Of the main players, we can see Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills. Scores a touchdown in the majority of games, averages one in almost every single game, 72% overall, 2+ in 22% of games. You also have Raheem Mostert, who averages a touchdown in 75%, didn't score in week 1, but at the end of last season, scored a touchdown in 5 straight games. And so instead of just being like, oh, well, I think this player is going to score a touchdown, you not only can determine situations where it's going to be ideal for that player, but you can also see how that player has performed recently without clicking through tons of different websites, scrolling through, trying to look it up. I create these and I use these tools to make my research process really easy. So then when I'm putting the bets on, I'm putting the bets on with confidence. So that's enough about the NFL. I just wanted to show you guys that. So you can see how the principles apply. It doesn't matter what sport you're betting on, all these same principles apply. Really appreciate you guys watching. Good luck this weekend. Hopefully, if the team you support is in the finals, they have a good win for you. And hopefully we can hit 7 out of 7. How good would that be? But aiming for another week in profit and we go 6 consecutive weeks. Thanks, guys, for watching. If you haven't already, check out the match preview where I run through each game, go through the betting trends and all that stuff as well. That video has already been posted. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.